Well, welcome and hello to our AI office hours with Covenant Technology Partners, your go to podcast for all things artificial intelligence. I'm Jen MacIvor, your host for today's episode, and thank you for joining us as we explore the impact of Microsoft Chat in today's workplace. Before we dive in, let me introduce myself. I lead business consulting, strategy, and AI at Covenant Technology Partners. We're focused on helping you define strategy and transformation while bringing out the best in your people. We do want to help you be AI powered, human guided, and future ready. Today, we're joined by Kurt Rolland, industry expert with extensive expertise implementing AI solutions, which revolutionize the modern workplace and help our clients. Kurt's a senior solutions architect with Covenant Technology Partners. Hi, Kurt, and welcome. Would you
Hi,
share
Jen. Thank you.
a bit about your expertise and introduce our topic for today?
Yeah, I'd be glad to. I'm an application architect with Covenant Technology Partners, as you mentioned. I specialize in the area of Microsoft 365 as well as Copilot. I've actually been working with Copilot for about a year and a half, almost 2 years now. As a partner, we've been involved in the early Jumpstart program with Copilot, and so have been working with the product for quite some time, not only in their preliminary release stages, but also as it gets rolled out into the consumer and corporate space. And today we're going to talk about a newest announcement from Microsoft called Copilot Chat. And I'm really excited about this because what it does is it removes some of the cost barriers to adopting Microsoft 365 Copilot.
So today, we're excited to introduce Microsoft 365 Copilot Chat, a new way for every organization to quickly and securely scale AI adoption so no employee is left behind. Copilot Chat combines three powerful capabilities into one integrated product to unlock the measurable value of AI at work. First is free, secure, enterprise-ready AI chat. It's powered by GPT-4o and grounded in the web. This chat experience is going to become an essential day-to-day tool for everyone in your organization. None of your employees are going to want to work without it. Second, agents that will enable you to reimagine business process and realize real cost savings and revenue generation. These agents are integrated into the chat experience and paid for on a metered consumption basis, so you only pay for what you use. And third, robust IT controls that ensure enterprise-grade security, privacy, compliance, and management.
Wow, Kurt. What I heard in that announcement was there's a new free capability. Can you start by explaining what Microsoft Copilot actually is and how it integrates with M365?
Yeah, absolutely. Probably the best way to think about Copilot Chat, Jen, is think of it as a chat GPT running within the M365 environment, simply
Impact of Microsoft Chat in today's workplace.
described, right? So we've seen Microsoft lead with the M365 Copilot product, which is a paid seat type product, $30 per user per month. What Microsoft's doing now is they're pivoting a bit to offer a free kind of entry-level version, much along the lines of a chat GPT for the corporate customers in the M365 environment. And so as you can see on this slide, the Copilot Chat, as was mentioned in the video earlier, is really composed of three things: chat, and agents, and then finally IT controls. So this package is really important because the chatting, of course, allows you to work against web-grounded data. The agents allow you to automate chat-based or prompt-based processes within your environment. And then finally, having IT controls allows IT to put some parameters and controls in place to make sure that this is properly governed.
So let's see how it compares.
Yeah, so if you look at this next slide here, what we'll see is how Copilot Chat on the right compares to the Microsoft 365 Copilot product, which Microsoft released now, a year or so ago. This again was the product that still available, obviously, that integrates the Office 365 products like Word and Excel and PowerPoint into LLM and work-grounded data. Copilot Chat, as you can see on the right at the top, is meant to be a free entry-level version, if you will, that allows organizations to begin to start to adopt the Copilot product family, if you will, free and securely, and begin to go through the adoption and change management process within the organization. As you can see underneath the plus sign there are additional capabilities that can be added to Copilot Chat. And as they get added, you begin to move to that consumption or metered-based model that was discussed earlier. So you can start free, but you can also begin to take on those additional consumption-based capabilities as your organization matures in its use of Copilot.
Thanks for that comparison. It's helpful to see the visual. So why did Microsoft release Copilot Chat?
Yeah, again, as I mentioned, they're wanting to essentially provide an easily adopted entry level, almost like a ChatGPT competitor, if you will, something that works right within the Microsoft 365 environment. And again, give corporations and users the ability to adopt and learn the technology and then begin to scale out as they want to be able to start using their enterprise and work data.
Oh, this is really exciting. Can you show us what this looks like for a user?
Before we go there, though, let's quickly talk about Copilot as it relates to Microsoft's vision, which is, and you'll see this catchphrase, Copilot is the UI for AI. So from Microsoft's perspective, Copilot is the lens or the screen, if you will, within the M365 environment that allows you to access both web and work grounding within your M365 tenant, as well as access to agents. So it is the primary interface.
All right. So as a user, what does my
Copilot
interface
Chat
look
gives
like?
you free
All right.
and secure,
Yeah.
enterprise-ready AI chat, powered by GPT 4.0, in a familiar and consistent interface. Say you work in business planning for an EV charging company, and you're developing the strategy for the year. You start by asking Copilot to do some research on the web. You want some basic information, like how EV charging has grown by region. Copilot is grounded in the web, so it can reason over the entire internet and quickly pull the relevant information. Great! Now let's see how these national trends compare to your sales results. With Copilot Chat, you can easily and securely upload files, like your sales data, and have it visualize your regional sales for the past few quarters. And you can continue to iterate with Copilot, like asking it to recommend strategies to help increase sales in lower performing regions. With Copilot Chat, you can quickly gather insights from the web and securely upload and analyze your data, bringing the power of AI directly to your workflow.
Wow. I can do all of that with Copilot Chat. That's pretty amazing. Can you give us a tour of the UI?
Sure, absolutely. We have just a quick screen grab here that we'll walk through. And if I can just simply refer to the demo, you notice a number of different things that were shown. The first one was the web grounding, which means that you can put in a prompt down as you look at the screen here. Down in the lower section, the bottom section, you can see the prompt box there. So that's the area that you would type in your prompt. And you also noticed from the demo that while his initial prompt, he went against web data, so it was web grounded, he also uploaded a file. So you notice down below there's an upload file button or capability. The idea there is that you can take local files, you can upload them into chat, and then you can ask the large language model to interact with, let's say, in the demo, it was some web grounded data that came back, and then you were able to augment or add that retrieval augmented content, if you will, and have additional questions or prompts being asked against really both data sets. And then it also, in the demo, he also asked it to generate a graph or some additional information off of that. And then just working through the interface again, you can see that we can chat with an agent through the agent button there. So in this case, you can address an agent directly from the prompt. You can also use agents up in the far right here by just simply selecting the agent. So again, think of an agent as an automated form of prompting. So what you may do is you may pre-build what you want your prompt or series of prompts to be and what data you want it to go against. And the agent will do that in a more automated fashion, just streamlining your particular either personal or work process. You can also see that there's a recent chat side window there, keeps track of the chats that you've done, kind of a chat history sort of mode, as well as being able to access the prompt gallery, which we'll see here in a few minutes. So the prompt gallery is a way of saving and storing and reusing prompts to make it easier to use those prompts that have given you some really good, effective results. At the top, we have a start a new chat button. That would be if you want to just simply reinitialize or restart a new session. And then going over to the far left, then you can see some suggested prompts that Copilot gives you as a way of just simply reminding you a way of really quickly getting started with your chat session.
Well, that's quite a lot. Now, you and I have worked with companies over the last year as they've started their journey. And we've seen as people begin to use the chat and prompting that this is different from Googling. Many people, right? Google has been for 15 plus years the go-to source for information, but prompting is different. What does this actually mean?
Yeah, so probably the biggest difference between prompting and keyword searching, let's say, or searching or Google searching, is the latter relies on keywords or phrases. And typically, you're using a search engine in an index, and your keywords or phrases are matched against a search index to give you a list of results, typically documents or pages or something like that. Then you, as a human, if you will, need to go through and look at each of the results and then determine which are in line with what you're looking for. A prompt, on the other hand, as you can see here, is more conversational. So the idea is that you're using natural language, you're talking back and forth with a large language model, you're asking it questions based on one or more data sources. And it's iterative in nature too, much like a conversation, right? If you have a conversation with a person, you may ask a question, you get a response, and you may ask a follow-up question. Again, prompting is the same kind of paradigm.
That is a different paradigm from Googling. And so, how do I need to think differently, or what makes an effective prompt?
Yeah, so because prompting is different, what it means is that, and you mentioned this earlier, there is a little bit more of a complexity to the way you would create a prompt. And so, looking at the left here, less effective prompts are ones that are either vague or maybe just using a few words. Maybe I mean, a lot of individuals who have not had a lot of experience with prompting will typically approach prompting in much like again, keyword searching, right? They'll put a few words in. You're not giving any context or preferred output to the large language model in terms of telling it exactly what it is that you want. So there's an example there, summarize news about, a company name, for example. Well, okay, the prompt can run with that, but what it's going to give you is a fairly broad, fairly high level result. So what you want to do, looking to the right, in terms of developing a more effective prompt, is you want to be very specific and very detailed, both in what you do want as well as what you don't want. Ideally, you're using full sentences with instructions as opposed to just short words or phrases. You also want to state things like your tone, your purpose, and your preferred output format. So in the example given here, obviously, we're telling the large language model a little bit about your background. You work in the marketing department. You're wanting to focus on research. You're asking it about giving it a summary of news about a company name, focusing specifically on announcements about product lines. So it's not everything that's recent news about a company, right? You want it to narrow in on announcements on product lines. And then you're telling it how to provide the answer. In this case, you want it in 2 or 3 paragraphs. You want it summarized and use a business tone. So there's a lot there in terms of what you're telling the large language model. And it may be that that initial prompt result that comes back is still not quite what you want. But what you do then is then you add additional prompts to have it kind of refine what it is that you initially got or received.
Yeah, it sounds like it's people really need to begin with the end in mind, really think about what it is they're trying to accomplish, create the context, right, within the prompt. And so there's some critical thinking and sort of systems thinking skills here. It looks like you can share with us a formula or some recipes we might be able to follow as we improve our prompting skills.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a kind of a whole science behind prompting, believe it or not. Although I would also argue that there's a little bit of art to it as well. And so if you can start with a prompt formula or prompt recipe, as they're called, right? It gives you kind of a basic starting point in terms of how you might construct different prompts based on what it is that you're trying to get at. This is a really popular one. It's called RTF, which stands for role, task, and format. And essentially, what you're doing is when you're constructing the prompt, you're considering it in the terms of, okay, what's my role, or what's the role of the large language model? And if we look at the prompt example here, we're telling the large language model that you're an experienced project manager. Okay, great. And you're specializing in facility renovation. So that's very specific. The task would be one or more tasks where you're basically identifying or telling the large language model what you want it to do. And so you'll typically, again, outline that or list that. It could be multiple sentences or multiple points or whatever. And then finally, in this case, we have a format instruction telling it what we want it to create. In this case, we're saying specifically, hey, create a risk register, which is a particular kind of document, right? And then we want it to take the tasks that, the risks that are coming out in its analysis and put in a table format.
Right, that's really interesting. And I can see we're really thinking through this and being clear before you start is helpful. But I also heard I can iterate. If I don't quite get what I want, I can continue to have a conversation. For people who want to start to use Copilot Chat, where might they start, or where can we suggest that teams go for some support?
Yeah, great question. Well, the easy place to start or go would be to use the prompt library, which is available within Copilot Chat. We saw this a little bit earlier when we looked at the screen interface. But the idea here is that individuals and even groups or teams can, as they create prompts and have good success with those prompts, they can actually save them in the prompt gallery. And the prompt gallery then, and we'll see a video here on this in a minute. The prompt gallery is a place where they can go and retrieve that information.
Copilot saves you time. And Copilot Lab has the best prompts to help you get more done in the apps you use every day. Like here, with Microsoft 365 Copilot Business Chat. Front and center are suggested prompts made specifically for your workflow. You can even find more by choosing View Prompts. These aren't just generic suggestions. Copilot serves up prompts you can customize with the meetings, teammates, and documents you rely on to get things done. Like this one. I'll select it, specify what I'm looking for, then hit Send. We can even save this prompt in Copilot Lab. By saving a prompt, we can reuse it again and again whenever we want. If we select View in Copilot Lab, we see we can always find it here with our other saved prompts. What if we want to create and save our own prompts? No problem. Whether it's a prompt we modify or one we create from scratch, we can save it the same way, and it'll live right here with our other saved prompts. If you know this prompt would help your teammates, you can share it right from Copilot Lab. Just go to Share Prompt, Share to Team, pick a team, and share. Now everyone in the team will see this prompt in the Team Prompts section of Copilot Lab. Speaking of sharing, looks like someone on our team sent us a prompt. We can try it out now by clicking this button right in the email. And we can also find it later in the Team Prompts tab in Copilot Lab. There are even more prompts to check out in Copilot Lab. And new prompts are added all the time, designed for your role, industry, and the work you care about. Just select the job type filter to find prompts that are tailor-made for you. With Copilot Lab, you'll keep discovering new prompts to use, save, and share to unleash the full power of Copilot.
Kurt, that was a lot. And really to think about Microsoft releasing Copilot Chat, and now anyone can use this functionality. Now, earlier when you walked us through the UI, you also introduced us to the concept of agents. Could you expand further on agents and how they can be used?
Sure, be glad to. So as we've looked at prompts, we note that the prompts really are conversational in nature, right? So an individual would type a prompt in, or perhaps they'd go to the prompt gallery or Copilot Lab, pull a prompt in, add some additional information, and send the prompt off, and then go back and forth and interact with a large language model. Agents are a little bit different in that agents take prompt information that you've constructed in the form of like a workflow, and it allows you to automate them. And we'll see that here
Let's see
in this
how
short
simple
demo.
it is for anyone to create an agent in Copilot Chat. You fire up Agent Builder and describe what you want the agent to do. It needs to be able to reason over your product catalog and repair tickets to provide step-by-step troubleshooting instructions. Let's connect it to SharePoint so it has access to all the knowledge it needs. It's built in seconds, so you can start using it immediately, or edit and configure it to fit your needs. You can expand its knowledge base by tapping into resources like SharePoint sites or other IT-approved data sources. You can test the agent right here, or just hit Create and you're done. And of course, the agent respects your organization's Microsoft 365 and SharePoint security permissions. Now your agent is ready in Copilot Chat, and you can start using it.
So that looks like anyone can create an agent. How do we actually go about doing this? It showed us a few things, but can you expand on that?
Sure. Yeah. So I think it's important to distinguish between the kinds of agents that are available, and there are many, and we can almost do a whole session on that. But I think probably where we're at in our presentation today, the easiest distinction would be between what are called personal agents and Copilot agents. Okay, so with personal agents, the idea here is this is meant to be a personal assistant, kind of an extension of yourself, and you can see some examples here of some personal agents with some templates. So Microsoft offers templates or starting points when it comes to creating agents. So for example, we have a prompt coach here, so you can create an agent that's based on a prompt coach. So the whole idea here is it helps you create effective prompts.
Yep.
So once you create a personal agent, then it becomes available for you to run at any time within Copilot Chat. The other kind of agent, again, simply speaking, at this point in time, would be a Copilot agent. And with Copilot agents, you're kind of moving beyond the personal nature of an agent, and you're moving to more of a group or a team or maybe even organizational view of how an agent might be used. So as you can see here, I'll just take the second one, assisting new hires with onboarding. Well, clearly that's going to be something that you may have a number of people within the HR department, for example, use as it relates to onboarding, or this may be an onboarding agent that's used for the new employees themselves, depending on the particular situation. So again, personal agents, Copilot agents. There are others, autonomous agents. These are agents that you can develop that are based on a schedule or a trigger to run automatically. There are SharePoint agents as well. So anyway, yeah, Microsoft continues to invest in this area.
All right. I think that I think we might also have a video that talks about process agents.
Yeah, what we'll see next specifically is around a sales agent.
With agents in Copilot Chat, you can transform entire business processes. They're easy to discover and use in the flow of work. Let's imagine you're a salesperson, and you need to get up to speed on a customer before you meet. You can simply ask your CRM agent for the account details by @mentioning the agent just like you would a colleague. I can even ask specific account questions, such as what products they have purchased from us, with a breakdown of deployment and adoption details. Copilot quickly pulls all these details directly from the system of record. And the best part, you never even had to open your CRM.
Well, Kurt, that really is a lot with Copilot Chat. Now, we started by, and I think you introduced the concept of, Copilot Chat is free to use, but there also is the added additional functionalities. Could you start to describe the difference between kind of free agents and pay as you go?
Yeah, absolutely. So here's a great slide. It gives you a little bit of a breakdown on your flexible purchase and deployment options. And again, what we're comparing here is we're comparing Copilot Chat in the left column to Microsoft 365 Copilot, which again is the full-on $30 per user per month product offering. And you notice, I'll just start with that because it's the easiest. Notice that we have everything lit up under Microsoft 365 Copilot. Again, you're paying $30 per user per month. This is all the value that you get. So basically all the boxes are covered, or all the boxes are checked, right? But note then, as we move back to Microsoft 365 Copilot Chat, which is the product we're talking about right now, okay? What Microsoft is doing is they are offering a number of free options, if you will, or capabilities there. Notice by the dots, right? So, we can ground with GPT-4o, we can ground with web data, we get access to Copilot pages, we can do file uploads, okay? All those are covered in the free product. But notice that once we start getting into work data or enterprise data, for example, we are moving into a pay-as-you-go type of scenario or consumption-based scenario. So as an example, the sales agent that we saw earlier, since it was going against CRM data, okay, that would be a consumption-based or a pay-as-you-go agent. So as messages, if you will, accumulate based on consumption, those messages then would be converted to consumption charges in Azure.
Oh, all right. And so could you expand a little bit more, maybe for those who aren't as familiar with consumption? What are the measures for consumption? Like, how might I estimate this?
Yeah, so with pay-as-you-go, or there's a capacity pack option as well. So when you think about it, when you issue a prompt, whether it be a manual prompt using a prompt gallery, or just a prompt in Copilot Chat, or if you use an agent, which may consist of multiple prompts, anytime you ask something of the large language model, okay, it's going to consist of messages or tokens, if you will, that are used to essentially track how the large language model is responding to your prompt. So there is a little bit of variability there with regards to, okay, if I ask a prompt, right, how many messages does that generate, right?
Right.
And so this is where using some of the IT control tools, as well as the billing analysis in Azure, you can get some idea, let's say over time, of what your consumption is, both by agent and by organization, right? Because your agent may, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I was just going to mention, I know that that's a conversation that we have with some of our clients, right? To really work through the persona-based and process journey mapping to help then to predict, at least as you start going, what that pay-as-you-go might look like. Yeah, thanks a lot for that. I cut you off, though. Was there something else you'd like to add?
No, you're good. Thank you.
All right. Well, let me shift a little bit here. Security and data privacy are major concerns for many organizations. Almost synonymous with AI in the news or in any kind of article comes some conversation about security and data privacy. How does Microsoft ensure that the Copilot Chat maintains the highest standards in this area?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first thing to note is that you do get the commercial data protection. And again, what that is, simply speaking, is that any prompting that you do, let's say against the web, is not available or does not leak out into the general World Wide Web, if you will. Everything stays secure within the tenant. So that's a pretty big one there. The other one, of course, would be going against work-grounded prompts that go against work-grounded data. So let's say, for example, files or documents that are stored in SharePoint or OneDrive or Teams or something like that. Any security or permission settings, privacy settings that you have configured within your M365 tenant are respected by Copilot Chat. So, if you don't have permission to see a document, let's say, in the normal sense of going and accessing a document in SharePoint or Teams, Copilot is not going to find that document for you either, based on your user and your permissions, your role-based access.
All right, I got it. Um, so, from your experience, then, what are some best practices for organizations as they're looking to integrate Copilot Chat into their existing workflows and with their existing teams?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things to keep in mind. There's the security and privacy that we've just talked about, and trying to get your data access governance house in order, so to speak. And Microsoft has a product called SharePoint Advanced Management, or SAM, which helps with that particular task. What you're able to do is you're able to get insights into your tenant, your data governance health, if you will. And using a number of different features and reports out of that tool, you can ensure that your data and privacy are healthy in such a way that Copilot is ready to be used in your organization. That's number one. Number two would be setting up a center of excellence. So, we saw Copilot Lab or the prompt gallery. That's one area that can be considered part of a center of excellence. And so the idea there is that you're socializing best practices and adoption throughout your organization. You may set up a team site, you may set up a SharePoint site that allows you to sort of aggregate all the key approaches and documents that you're going to be using within your organization to roll out Copilot. The last area might be around just simply adoption within the organization, how you want to do that. And what we've typically seen, what's been successful in organizations, is to establish focus groups or personas, and work with those particular personas as it relates to how they might use and optimize Copilot Chat.
That's fantastic. Some of our clients, I think, have launched these focus groups, right? And scheduled some learning hours, and then kind of follow-up office hours so people can come and ask questions or share what they've learned. Most recently, Kurt, I was on a call with the executive sponsors from a manufacturing company that you and I and more of our team helped to begin to adopt the Copilot functionality. And Kurt, those executive sponsors were so excited. We didn't even start the meeting, and they're already sharing with me how their teams are using Copilot in their everyday workflow. And one of the sponsors, who I thought might have been a little skeptical, apparently he is now their biggest champion. And so they're really excited to start their wave 2 adoption.
Yeah, that's great news, Jen. Yeah, again, a lot of it is about seeing our early and simple successes, right? I think many times there's a hype around AI, and that I think it maybe promises much and delivers little, in a sense.
Yeah.
And I think what we encourage, and again, I think Copilot Chat is a great tool to allow organizations to begin to start their journey with a relatively low level of investment, and begin to get their constituents, their user base, and so forth, trained so that they can begin to see the value that you just described.
Yeah, thanks. Looking ahead, what do you see are some future developments that we might expect from AI assistants like Copilot Chat? How do you see this impacting our workplaces?
Yeah, well, Microsoft again continues to make huge investments, especially in the agentic or agent technology. They are working on continuing to expand that, both in the terms of data access, external data access, enterprise data access, trying to make it easier and easier and easier for folks that build agents to be able to connect to data sources both within the tenant and outside the tenant. They're also looking at I should say, trying to kind of decouple, if you will, the agent nature and make it much more reusable. So while we do have reusability across agents themselves, meaning that they can be shared and reused across the organization, taking a next level down around something like actions within agents, right? And allow actions, for example, to be reusable. The idea here is that the more reusability and the more kind of generalization that exists within both prompts, let's say the prompt gallery or Copilot actions or even agents, the more rapidly the adoption can take place within an organization.
Well, I think it's really powerful that Microsoft has made Copilot Chat available. Over this last year, right, we've seen some really early adopter companies lean in, work hard to figure out how to leverage what was available with M365 Copilot. This is a great way for those who have hesitated, right? Or those who have not yet started their journey to start to introduce these earliest concepts, right? Prompting, agents, even supplying the good controls through SAM. I think all of these are good unlocks for companies who haven't quite pushed into really wholeheartedly, adopting Copilot and the full AI stack across all of Microsoft. So I think, folks can think of Copilot Chat as really the first or early step. With any right new enabling technology, uh, being proactive and conscious about what your strategy is, how it's going to impact not just your processes, but also your people, right? And how they think, how they want to think. There is change enablement associated to all of this. We're working with a new manufacturing company. They've been around for 80 plus years. And, one of their early concerns is folks are concerned that maybe this will take their jobs. But the conversation and the point of view of the executives at the company is no, no, no. We want you to have sharper tools to be able to do your work, and to be able to do your work well. So think of this as a sharper tool and not a replacement. So yeah, it's an interesting journey for all of us. So I would like to wrap up. Kurt, what kind of final thoughts do you have as then I'll take us to a close?
Yeah, I would just say that we've seen over the last year and a half, once Copilots become available to corporations, this idea of shadow use of ChatGPT, right? And so, one of the concerns is, well, there's all these risks around AI, and there's risks if we do it, and there's also risks if you don't do it. When I say if you don't do it, what I mean to say is that you set policies within your organization with regards to proper use of, let's say, AI and chat, right? So, if you're not going to set a standard within your organization around something like Copilot Chat, which again is a free entry-level product, you can expect that there might be individuals in your organization that are shadow using ChatGPT, right?
Absolutely.
Which is bad.
I think the statistics say,
yeah.
Over 78% of people are using some form of AI in the workplace. And we all know that that's not all sanctioned and secure. So yeah, it's happening. Yeah, thanks, Kurt. I think that I want to thank everyone for joining us today. Kurt and I are both from Covenant Technology Partners. We do help companies define their strategy. We have teams that can help determine if you're technically and ready, right? Is your security and governance ready? And then, we spend time with folks as you work to adopt. And then ultimately, as you begin to build out your AI strategy and roadmap, we have those services as well. So thank you all for joining. And don't forget to subscribe to our podcast. Follow us on social media for all our latest updates. Upcoming topics in our following podcasts will include security as it's impacted by AI, Copilot for developers, as well as data and AI. So until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the world of AI. Thanks.
Thank you.